So yeah, so what we're going to be doing is I'm going to give you a talk, and then there'll be an opportunity to ask questions. So if I didn't if you're interested in something that I didn't say, please ask. So that'll be after the talk, and if you want to, there'll be meditation as well. So we'll have a break after the questions and answers, and if you want to join me, I'll be doing some chanting and a period of metta bhavana. So yeah, if you want to stick around for that, that'd be lovely as well. We may even do a short puja if it feels appropriate. So that's basically the plan for the whole evening. So in terms of the talk, what I want to do is just talk a little bit about what's been going on at the DBC since March of last year when the pandemic started, the state of play at the moment, and then what's next. So looking forward a little bit into what our thoughts and plans are for the coming period. So that's basically what I'm going to be doing this evening. So in terms of the first bit, yeah, I just wanted to say, just to point out a few things, key things that have happened since we started doing things online, which was basically around about St. Patrick's Day, that holiday weekend in March of 2020. And, I mean, in a way, I think I was thinking about saying something about, the COVID and the lockdown and what it's been like. And there's all these words. I mean, it's difficult to talk about it in a way that it doesn't sound a little bit cliched. But whatever way you talk about it, I was thinking in terms of being Dharma practitioners, in terms of being followers of the Buddha. I think one of the things that I've noticed about it is that it's really tested my grasp of the Dharma. So one of the things I found about the pandemic is it just lets you know where you actually are in your Dharma practice. So the Dharma, of course, teaches us that things change and conditioned things are unreliable. And we know that at a certain level. And when that's actually happening, and we find out what our responses actually are, we find out if we've actually found emotional equivalents to our intellectual understandings. We actually find out what the reality of the situation is. And sometimes we might have been pleasantly surprised at how creative we were in the face of adversity. Other times we might have been a little bit more dismay. We thought we might have been a little bit more up for the challenge because of our exploration of the Dharma. But either way, it shows us where we are, and I think that's been one of the things that the pandemic has certainly taught me, is just actually recognizing and acknowledging and being honest about what my actual experience is. And I found that actually more broadly, just talking to people, I think people have been really honest actually in the Sangha, which has been really encouraging and really inspiring actually. People, for example, just being quite honest about their struggles. And for example, some people, I had one particular conversation with someone just talking about how low they felt. And they were so honest about it. I really felt that they were going to be okay because they were really aware of what was actually going on for them, for example. So that's one of the things I think the pandemic sort of taught us in a sort of a broader kind of sense, is it's just showed us where we actually are in terms of emotional transformation. We know things are impermanent, we know things are insubstantial, but actually shows us where we are in terms of our transformation. Have we actually transformed ourselves in line with that vision? And I think one of the other things it's probably shown us is it's helped us to see what's actually important. So as Joni Mitchell says, you don't know what you've got till it's gone. And I think that's been one of the lovely things, actually, just how much people have appreciated and realized the importance of the connections that they have with other people who are going for refuge to the Three Jewels. And I know that people really miss that. And in a way, as the saying goes, absence makes the heart grow fonder. And I've been really touched by just how responsive people have been, even online, to the classes and the retreats and the communication that we've had, the practice that we've done together online. And we have been exclusively online since, like I say, since of March of last year. So it's more than 18 months now. And one of the surprises for me, one of the huge surprises actually, a delightful surprise, is how much communication can actually take place in this kind of format, in an online format. It can actually be strangely intimate. And I've been thinking about, in a way, just how much communication is based on and founded on imaginative empathy. So even if we meet somebody in person, we're getting kind of signals about what's going on for that person. We get a lot more of them when we're with them. We get quite a bit less when we're online, but still we can build up a sense of other people. We can even weirdly have a sense of a collective, and actually that's been really quite encouraging. Just how much you can get across, how much you can communicate in an online format. And I remember years ago, Colin O'Connell, some of you will know him. This is a long time ago. It's probably a decade ago. He was saying, "Oh, you guys should do Dharma classes online." And I remember thinking, "Oh no, why would we want to do that? We can do them in person." And I was thinking of him actually, sort of in spring of last year, and just if I see him, I'll tell him that he was right. So some of the things that we've actually done, we've done quite a few courses. I think one of the central sort of things that we've been doing is a lot of courses, some of which last year were really, really big. We had one that 538 people booked on. They didn't all show up, but actually a good few hundred of them did. So we've reached a lot of people. We've managed to introduce quite a few new people to the Dharma, and also give people who already have a Dharma practice a way of engaging with the three jewels. And of course, we've had a lot of the things that were ongoing regular events have kept going. Like particularly one of the things that's been wonderful is to see the pujas continuing, the Tuesday night pujas in particular, and also the Sunday morning pujas, which was a new thing that we started. And it's just been really lovely to see how people have engaged with ritual, which, you lose quite a lot with ritual when it's online. But even then, it's been really touching just to see how people have engaged with that. There's the regular meditations they've continued. So a lot of those drop-in events have just continued, and people have been engaging with them. And I know some people have been coming because they want to see that momentum continue. They've been supporting those events, and that's been really heartening as well. Just in terms of the courses, one of the things I've really, really loved is just being able to be more uncompromising. So particularly, I don't know, it just seemed particularly the case spring and summer of last year when things were really, really difficult and people were really up against it. I really felt the Dharma's got something to say about this. And I felt I could just be much more frank and much more direct and much more candid just about what the Buddha teaches about life and about the situation that we're in. So that's just a kind of general comment that I've really appreciated that. So a lot of what we did in terms of courses is we adapted what we did in person to an online format. So a lot of the courses, the journey and the guide course, the not about being good course, other courses that we've been doing for quite a number of years, we adapted. But there's also been some innovations and some new things. So I particularly wanted to point out the courses that we've done for parents. And this is, I think, something that the online format has enabled. So one of the kind of koans when you run a Buddhist center is you're trying to do things for parents, but parents, particularly parents with really young kids, are really, really busy and find it hard to come to the center. So it's always been a bit of a koan that we've struggled with for quite a few years. And that's been one of the things that this period has enabled or made possible is thriving courses for parents. So particular shout out to Atulu Mitra for being one of the key drivers for that. There's other people as well. We have devised new courses. There's been courses that we've done based on Windhorse books. So there's been Sailing the Worldly Winds. There's been a course on the Eightfold Path. I'm currently doing a course on Living with Kindness, Bante's commentary on the Metta Sutta. We did another course on work. And just to give you a heads up, we're hoping to do a course based on Shanti Garba's book that's just come out called The Burning House, which is a Buddhist response to the climate and ecological emergency. So that's going to be coming in the next little while. So that's just some of what's been happening with courses. We've also done a number of online retreats, and again, I've been really surprised at how deep some of those retreats have gone. It's given me a lot of cause for thought. What is a retreat? If you can, you can have a retreat when you're at home. What's it really about? And I suppose in a way, what it's really brought home to me is the importance of communication and of listening and of really being open to each other's perspectives, and and that element, because we're not together, becomes even more to the fore. And I've been really impressed by how much of an impact those retreats have had. I've seen it with other people and I've felt it myself. We've also collaborated. There's been collaborations. We've collaborated with the London Buddhist Centre and other Buddhist centres on the summer retreat in 2020, and then the meditation challenge in January. We've also been collaborating on a young Buddhist course, and also the online festivals that have been internationally organised. And one of the other things, actually, I just was reminded by this because, as you might have heard, in Auckland, in New Zealand, they're in a full lockdown. They're kind of where we were at the beginning of the year. Nobody can do much except go outside, go to the supermarket and exercise. And the chair of the centre was doing a little 3-minute video just to talk to everybody. And I was just reminded of when we did a lot of those last year. And I really felt that that format, some people, it seemed to particularly suit some individuals. It gave them a kind of a voice. But I just really appreciated hearing different people's perspectives and sharing perspectives on what was going on. And I actually really enjoyed doing them, but also watching other people's thoughts for the day. I don't know if you remember those, but yeah, it seems ages ago, but it wasn't actually that long ago. So just sort of taking a bit of a kind of a bird's eye view, I suppose. I mean, I've mentioned this before, but I'll just mention it quickly now. Is that 3 big changes have happened in the last 18 months in terms of the way the centre functions. The first is that we're not fixed to our location anymore. We've been able to reach people all over the country and actually all over the world. And also that's meant that people who have been able to come in and do things, lead things on the retreat, who might not otherwise be able to come. So we've been able to have really big order teams on our retreats, which I've really enjoyed. And I think other people have enjoyed hearing different voices as well, which has been really good. So that's one change. We're not limited to just this location here at the Dublin Buddhist Centre. We can be in different places. And we're not limited by space. So this Buddhist Centre is a relatively small space for those of you who haven't been here. And that's a significant challenge, which I'll talk a little bit about later. So that's we haven't been limited in that way. And we've also been doing everything on a dana, on a generosity basis. So in a way, the pandemic has made that possible. We were able to do something quite radical and just basically, as it were, throw open our doors and just say anybody who wants to come can come, and just give what you can. And there's a beautiful simplicity in that I've really appreciated. You just basically give what you've got to give, and if people respond to that, they can give something too. So it's just a lovely kind of very, very simple way of operating, and it weirdly actually means that you can be more uncompromising. I've always just felt like, oh well, this is okay. I'll just tell you what I think Buddhism is, in a more uncompromising way. Yeah, and it's been lovely because there's no financial barrier to anyone engaging with what we've been doing. So those things have been significant changes. The change of the fact that we're not limited to a location, we're not limited by space, and we're actually now operating on a Hana economy. So I'll say more about that later. So one thing that has happened, and this has been a major loss, there's no other way of talking about it or describing it, and that is that the place that we've been going on retreat for about 30 years, actually, since the early 90s, Sandville House, which many of you will have been to for retreats up in Cavan, is being sold. So Claire and John, who own the place, are selling the property on. Now, just to let you know, we did have a serious look at seeing if we could purchase it. We did costings. We went up there, and it was just beyond what was possible. We really thought about it quite hard, but we just didn't, particularly at this time, didn't want to take on a big financial burden at such in a way such a delicate moment. It just felt like it was beyond us right now. So someday we'll get our own place, but now it doesn't, at least that particular place and this particular time, it doesn't seem quite right. So just in a way, I just wanted to let you know that we really did have a good look at whether or not we would be able to purchase Sandville House, but it's not going to happen at the moment. Just to say, what we intend to do at some point in the next little while is to have some kind of ritual where we, in a way, say goodbye, but also mark the significance of that place for our spiritual community. It's been a really significant piece of earth where significant things have happened for people. So we do want to have some kind of ritual, which we'll let you know about. And of course, one of the things that's been happening, and this hasn't been kind of on the program as it were, but I've been really aware of people meeting up with other people and just keeping those individual connections alive. And that's just been really heartening to see that there are actually friendships between people, and which is really what at the heart of spiritual community. And it's just been really heartening to see people not just developing those friendships, but making new connections as well. People meeting up when that's been possible. So that's just a little bit of an overview of some of the things we've been doing and some of the significant things that have happened in the last 18 months. I'm sure there's more I could have said, but that's just a little bit about the past. So where we are now, where the centre is now, I just thought I'd say a little bit about that. So I thought I'd just mention the financial side of things. So as you might be aware, that the centre is a charity. We talk in terms of a deficit or a surplus rather than a profit or a loss, because we're a charity. And what I can tell you is that we've had our accounts audited for last year, and we've actually made a substantial surplus. So we made a 58 grand surplus last year. And that's, and a big part is due to everybody's generosity. So, basically, what would it be? 2/3 of that year, or even 3/4 of that year, we were operating on this dana basis. And we've really benefited people's generosity. We've also benefited from the government subsidies. So it actually turned out to be really quite a good year for us. And I'm really, really grateful for that. Really grateful, because at the beginning of all of this, as you can imagine, we were quite concerned about the financial health of what we were doing, and would we be able to keep, for example, a 5-person team under those circumstances. But it's the way things have turned out has meant we've been able to keep doing what we're doing and develop what we're doing, and also create a little bit of a buffer, as it were. We've got reserves on top of that surplus, just to let you know that as well. So whilst we're not, we couldn't say that we're minted, we're not kind of like scratching around in a desperate state either. So I think it's something that's somewhere in the middle. We kind of feel it's, for the moment, we're all right, but we're aware that we don't really know what's around the corner, and we do have significant challenges, which I'll mention when I talk about what's coming up next. So that was last year, that was 2020. So we did quite well in 2020 financially. This year it's not been so good for us. Fewer people we had some spectacularly well attended courses last year. And of course there was dana that came in, there was money that came in from those courses. And also actually a lot of people started standing orders. We got a lot of new standing orders, and people increased their standing orders. So thank you, many of you I know have done that. So thanks very much. It makes a huge difference because you can actually rely on it. It's a relatively reliable income stream. 2021 has not been quite so strong. Like I was saying, there are fewer people coming on the courses, and it's just there's just not as much money coming in, but it's not looking quite so good this year. We'll probably make a bit of a loss this year. We don't know exactly how much. Vajashura is the one who kind of monitors what's going on financially, and he's away at the moment, so I haven't got kind of up-to-date figures, but we probably will make a loss this year. But like I say, because we made a surplus last year, it shouldn't be too much of a dent. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of a sense of the financial side of things. If you want to know more, do please ask, actually, and I'll try and answer if I can. So just to let you, I thought it might be good just to kind of, I suppose just to let people know some stuff. So the Buddha Centre is run by, like I said, it's a charity, and the day-to-day running of the centre is run by the centre team. So that's myself and Pavara, Atulya Mitra, Vajrashura, who's currently away leading a retreat, a men's ordination retreat, Prasanna Deva, who is our centre manager, and Stephen is also, he was covering for Prasanna Deva while he was away. He's also staying on just to help out while Vajrashura is away, just on a part-time basis. So we're your centre team, and it's our job really just to keep the centre running day to day, organising the courses. Mainly that's actually what we're doing at the moment, organising courses and events, because of course, well, I'll talk about the centre in a bit, there's not been a load happening here. Yeah, and I particularly wanted to rejoice in Prasanna Deva actually, because he's come into the role at quite a difficult time. For example, we're not working together in the way that we used to, and also everything keeps shifting. It's not like slotting into a role where everything's established. So I want a particular shout out to Prasanna Deva, and also for Stephen for covering that job while he was away, very, very adequately, very, very skillfully, and just holding that space while Prasanna Deva is away. So thanks, Stephen. And then of course there's a centre council. So the centre council is responsible for overview. So we have statutory responsibilities as trustees of the charity, as directors of the charity. So what we're trying to do is look at policy and principle and make sure what we're doing is covering both the statutory obligations that we have of running a charity, but more importantly is to actually make sure that what we're doing is a genuine Buddhist centre, that we are genuinely informed by the Buddha's teaching, that we're a genuine spiritual community. So that's what our responsibility is, or what our responsibilities are. And so that's myself, Atulya Mitra, Dayananda, Maitrakaya, Pavara, and Sadai and Vajrashura. Like I say, he's currently away. So we're your council, the DBC council. And we've been meeting a little bit more often over the last 18 months. We've been meeting every month just because things have been changing, and it's felt really valuable just to keep plugging in. And I really wanted to rejoice in just how adaptable, how patient, how responsive and creative the centre team and the centre council's been, because it has been like a really difficult time, and there's been constantly having to sort of rethink what we're trying to do and be adaptable to changing circumstances. So I just wanted to rejoice. It's been actually a real pleasure. It's been a real pleasure, and it's been a real privilege actually as well, just to work with everybody. And it has actually been a really creative time. It's been almost through necessity, creative time, and I've actually really appreciated it personally. It's given me a bit of a new lease of life actually. And there's lots of other people that I started thinking of people to thank, and then the list got so long that I was, that kind of thing when you're thanking people and you think, oh, there's her and then there's him, and the list got so long that I kind of thought, I can't, if I pick out individuals, I'll end up, that'll be the rest of the, I'll be talking for 25 minutes. So I just wanted to thank everybody for, all of you have done things. I can see faces there. All of you have done things, have helped out in lots of different ways, in terms of publicity, in terms of helping out with courses. Like Rob's been doing the shrines, so many different ways people have been helping out. So I just want to thank everybody for kind of in a way putting a shoulder to the wheel and just making sure that that the momentum was maintained of what we're trying to do. So that's a little bit about where we are now. Like I say, if you've got questions, if things occur to you, please sort of make a mental note, and I'll try and respond to them afterwards, because I'm kind of not 100% sure what people want to hear. So this is my best stab at what people want to hear. So going forward, obviously things have really shifted in terms of COVID. we're emerging from this period of lockdown. More and more people are being vaccinated, and we've been exploring how we can start getting the centre back to some kind of semblance of normality. So particularly Prasanna Deva's he's been putting a lot of work into getting his head around how we can host people at the centre. And this is in a way one of our significant challenges, I think, and I alluded to this earlier, and that is that we have a small space. We have a small space which got very little ventilation. There is ventilation, and there is some natural ventilation, which is okay now in the summer. Won't be so good in the wintertime, but we've got a small space, so we need to give it quite a bit of thought to how we're going to host people here with social distancing and particularly with with air circulation, which everybody's saying is one of the key facets in terms of managing the risk of the spread of COVID. So what we're looking at is basically starting incrementally and sort of building things up. So we've started having a few smaller events at the centre. So we've started running a few study groups, and some of the order chapters have been meeting here, and maybe we'll have Going for Refuge groups meeting soon. So that's kind of where we're starting, is just basically having smaller meetings and seeing how it goes. And in terms of courses, what we're gonna do is we've just started a round of courses in the last week. We had a new course starting last Monday and another one starting on Saturday, and there's another one starting Tuesday a week ago. So they've all started, and we're going to have another cycle of courses online. And then towards the end of October, beginning of November, when all the restrictions are removed, what we hope to do is run courses in person. So that'll be sometime around the beginning of November, and also hopefully we'll be running some of the regular events as well, pujas and so on. We'll let you know, but we're kind of taking it incrementally. And I just wanted to reassure you that I know some of you, I can see some of you actually who are not living in Dublin and who won't be able to come to the centre and who've really appreciated being able to connect online. So we're going to continue to do online events. So we haven't decided exactly how we're going to do that, but probably what we'll do, we're almost certain that we'll do this actually, is have some kind of hybrid element, so that some of our events will be run so that you can join online, or you can be there in person. And we may do entirely online events. We'll just have to see. So that's the basic plan that we have. So we're going to run, in terms of courses, we're going to have 3 cycles of courses before the end of the year, and the third one we'll look at having people back in the place. And until then, we'll kind of incrementally open things up and just see how things go. I sort of feel every day more and more confident. Things seem to be moving in the right direction, but you know, you never quite know with this COVID thing. So a few challenges that I'll mention. So one of them is our retreats. So Sandville House is closed, so we've lost our main retreat venue. We still have Muckler down in County Wicklow in the mountains, and we are looking into other venues that we might be able to use for retreats. And I just wanted to let you know that one of the kind of central events on our retreat calendar is our October bank holiday retreat, which will be happening this year. It'll be online, so that's going to be starting on the 22nd of October. We'll let you know let you know more details in the next week or so. And it's going to be based around the figure of Padmasambhava, who we celebrate at this time of year. The man, the spiritual being who was instrumental in establishing Buddhism in Tibet as a kind of living force, a living tradition. And we're also, just to let you know, we'd really love to do a winter retreat. At present, we're looking for a venue. So just to let you know that we are trying to run an in-person winter retreat, and we'll keep you posted about that. Yeah, so we're hoping to get an event where we can host a larger number of people than normal. But again, we'll let you know about that. So again, looking forward to the to an opportunity, and that is to see how we can work the online element into our overall program of classes and events. So I'm quite excited about this. I think it opens up quite a few possibilities. So, for example, so that we can keep some of the benefits of the online stuff, i.e., not being fixed to a location and not being restricted by space, we can keep some of those benefits and have that running alongside some of our events that happen here at the centre. So quite how that happens, we'll have to see, but it's definitely part of our kind of longer term thinking. One of the wonderful things about there's a lot of advantages with the online things. One is that it's kind of non-threatening. You can just sort of try it without needing to go somewhere or meet people that might be a bit strange. So I think people feel quite happy just to sort of try things out. So it may be, for example, that a lot of people's first contact with the DBC will be on an online platform, and then maybe they'll come from there to a class at the centre when they've decided that actually, yeah, this is something that they'd like to explore further, something they'd like to get more engaged in. Another big question is just about, can we continue to run with a Hana economy? I'd love it if we could keep that going, but it's a question. And I think if we do continue in that way, we'll all have to be really mindful that that's how we're operating, and just to keep reminding ourselves and other people that that's how we're operating. Because I think maybe we don't notice it because it's just been part and parcel of being online, but I think it's actually a really special thing. It's a really radical thing to run completely on donations, to not charge for anything. It's really quite amazing. So I'd love to see it continue, but again, it's something that we'll need to talk about and monitor as we go, because obviously we do need a certain amount of hard cash, as it were, just to keep the whole show on the road. And just while I'm on the topic, actually, I just wanted to make the point that Dana is a much broader thing. Generosity is a much broader thing than just money. Obviously, money is a part of it. Finances is a part of it. But there's lots of other ways that you can help, actually. And like I said, many of you have been doing that already. There's word of mouth. So just telling people about the centre. If you meet people that you think might be interested in what we're doing, just letting them know. Letting them know about it, just telling them about it. Sharing our social media. So if you're a social media type of person, if you're on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, which are the social media platforms that we're on, just actually liking our stuff, sharing our stuff. Apparently, if you comment, that really helps as well. If you comment on things, that makes a difference. Leave reviews. Good reviews. If you like something, leave a review. If there's, on Google or on any of the other platforms. So and just come along to our events. One of the things that's really apparent with the online thing is that you've only got an event if people come. You've only got a Sangha if people actually participate in it. It seems strangely more obvious sometimes when you're online than when you're in the centre. But so if you think that the Sangha is important, then come along to things, and then you'll make it happen. If people just stay away, they might be part of the Sangha in their mind, but other people won't know about it. It doesn't create as much of an atmosphere. So just come along. It makes a difference when people come along. And people like seeing you, if you know what I mean. I like seeing you. It's nice to see you all, actually. So yeah, just want to say that as well. So just to say, money is really important. And if you have got money to spare, then please send it our way, and we'll use it well. But you can also let people know about the centre, share our social media, and come to our events. So looking forward a little bit further. So ironically, in March of 2019, we did a whole week-long event at the London Buddhist Centre, and we devised a 3-year strategy for the DBC. So we had this whole plan of how we were going to develop what we're doing. And that just kind of like consigned to the waste paper basket in March of last year, because so many of the things that we'd planned to do we just weren't able to do. What we had planned to do actually at that time was to prioritize getting a bigger city centre. And now that the lay of the land's kind of changed a little bit, we'll have to see if that's still a priority, because now a retreat centre is also a priority. So we've got these two sort of large scale sort of strategic things which would really help us develop as a spiritual community, not just in Dublin but in Ireland. One of them is a bigger city centre in Dublin, and one of them is a retreat centre. So it's really just a question of when is the best time to pursue those things, and in what sequence, if you see what I mean. So that's one of the questions that we're going to be looking at in the next period of time, is trying to make those things happen. But like I say, it's really a question of timing. When's the right moment to try and bring those things into being? Because both of them will be considerable challenges, financially and otherwise. Just to say as well, it'll be an exciting time actually coming up, because everything is kind of on hold, because the centre isn't running any events, as it were, in person, or very few. We've kind of got an opportunity to look at what we're doing and kind of revision it, to try and go back to asking some really fundamental questions about what we're trying to do, and then building things up from there. So we might end up with something very similar to what we were doing before, or new things might emerge, and it'd be really good if we can make the most of the innovations that have happened, whilst we've been online, and as well as seeing if new things can emerge. Like I said, it'll probably involve many of the things that we're used to, but hopefully a fresh take, a fresh look, a fresh kind of vision of what we're doing will emerge in the coming time. And that's sort of in a way what I imagine will be happening in the new year. And I just wanted to let you know that I suppose part of the equation is that it's time for me to stop being the chairman of the Dublin Buddhist Centre. So I'm going to finish up next year in March. That's what I've told the council. So I've actually been doing this role, if that's what it is, since February 2010. So next year when I finish up, it will have been 12 years. It would have been, the original plan was for me to finish up in the springtime of this year. But with COVID, it felt like it wouldn't be a good moment to move on. So I said it also suited me to stay on for another year, and in this role. So my plan is to finish up in March, and then in April I'll be helping out on the team that will be running the men's ordination retreat at Gukuloka, which is, all being well, going to happen starting in April of next year. And after that, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to be doing. I'm not going to disappear. I'll still be in Dublin. I'll still be kicking around in some shape or form, and hopefully I'll definitely be involved in the Sangha. There's no question about that. But anyway, I just wanted to let you know that. And there's a lot more I could say, but I'll leave that for another occasion. But I just want to say that it's been really brilliant, actually. I've really loved it. It's been really challenging, but also really inspiring. And one of the things just that keeps kind of taking me by surprise, and it has done for the last 12 years actually, and that's just what an amazing bunch of people we are. I've been really touched repeatedly by how courageous and creative and caring everybody is. It's been really wonderful, actually. Sometimes you can get a bit focused on the kind of day-to-day running, and you're kind of this thing on your desk and that email, and then sometimes you zoom back, which often it happens for me on events when there's a gathering, and I sort of think, oh look, there's old such as, oh look at her, it's just, and you really appreciate just how much people engage with the Three Jewels, and it's been a real delight to witness that, and to be kind of in a way at the heart of making that happen. It's been really good to be part of that. It's really benefited me. I feel like I've really grown through it, and part of the reason I want to stop doing it is to give somebody else the opportunity to have that experience. I don't want to fill that kind of opportunity. I don't want to take that opportunity away from somebody else who could benefit from it. So we're at the moment in the order in Ireland where we're in a process to find a new chair for the centre. I feel pretty optimistic that we will, and as soon as we do, we'll let you know who that person is. Yeah, and I just wanted to finish off just to say a couple of things. I'm almost finished, but I just wanted to mention Padmasambhava. So at this time of year, we celebrate Padmasambhava Day towards the end of September. It's going to be on the 26th of September this year. But I think what's happened over the past years in Dublin, it's become more than a day. It's become a whole kind of season. This autumnal period where there's a change of season has become intimately associated with Padmasambhava. And what he's all about is translating principle into practice, translating the kind of, in a way, the stream of transformative energy, which is the Dharma, into actual pragmatic things that people can engage with. And that's always been the question, I suppose, in my mind, is, well, we've got these particular resources, we've got these particular conditions, and we've got the three jewels. So how can we kind of bring the two together and actually really get some transformative energy going? So those flames, those transformative flames which surround the three jewels and surround the trident that Padmasambhava holds, can really burn as brightly as possible. And so I think it's been really wonderful, again, just to sort of feel that kind of energy alive in our Sangha over the last month while we've been adapting to this new situation. And I feel really confident, actually, that we'll move into the next period with that kind of confidence and that clarity and that energy and that love, which is so much embodied in the figure of Padmasambhava. So yeah, I just wanted to finish by evoking the great guru of Tibet, and what he means for our Buddhist community, our spiritual community in this particular place at this particular time. Okay, so I'll leave it there for the moment, and yeah, just basically just throw it open if anyone's got any questions. I'll try and respond, and then we'll have a wee break.